Hi everyone and welcome back to the Crafty Yellow Camper. Today I've got another card for you using the Help Me Grow bundle. So this is the stamp set and this is the die set. So there's quite a lot of different techniques you can use with this. You've got this really nice earth line which we're going to be using in this today's card. You've got some foliage, you've got extra little bits of foliage that you could put along the edge. Flowers, some more flowers there, pot saucer. This is the more detailed pot, but then there's a background one as well that will cut out the stamped image. So you've got quite a lot of options with that. I'm just going to move that out of the way, and then I will show you the card that we're going to be making today, if everything doesn't fall on the floor. So I wanted to do a card that looked like we were actually gardening, and I'm just going to show you. You learn by my mistakes. So I wanted to do the edge. So it looked like we'd got a bed of soil here. So I could put my little thank you plant label in and have it look like I was gardening and some plants were growing. But I put the die upside down on my piece of paper. So what I actually got was this really nice uneven edge, which does look like dirt. What I should have got was this. I don't know if you can see that with the hopefully you can see that with the actual die cut edge and embossed edge. So I accidentally, not on purpose, found out that there are two different ways you can do your edging. So you could use, which I'm going to on the card as I make it, this one, which is used how it should be. If you put the die the other way up, all it does is cuts this. So basically I put it upside down like that. So this piece was on the piece of cardstock that was discarded, and I ended up with this top edge, which works fine. And you could, if you wanted to do like a diorama card, you could layer those up like that. Okay, we're not going to do that today, but just an idea for you. So I'm going to put that one to one side, and then I'll bring in the bits and pieces and tell you what I've got. Okay, so I have a C6 card base in Bubble Bath. So this is half of an A4 sheet, cut lengthways along the sheet at 14.8 and scored at 10.5. I am going to use a landscape. Use it in landscape, I should say, rather than portrait, but the dimensions are the same. Okay, then I have got a piece of basic white, and this is going to form our matte layer on the front of the card. Pink and white always makes me think flowery and sunny and ice cream. Okay, so then what I've got a piece of this beautiful paper here, and I've just realised I haven't grabbed it to show you and tell you what it is, so just bear with a minute. See if I can find out where have I actually put it. Ah, here it is. It was in my reach all along. So this is the very lovely Velvet Meadow 12 by 12. The colours are Basic Beige, Berry Burst, Bubble Bath, Cloud Cover, Daffodil Delight and Peaceful Pine. So some really, really lovely colours in there. So I've chosen Bubble Bath for my base. It's 12 by 12, as I said, but what you can't see from the catalogue, and one of my lovely ladies at my class pointed this out, and she said she wouldn't have known, even though it said velvet, she wouldn't have known that it actually has, I'm hoping I can get it to focus here, these sort of flocked bits. So that's why it's called velvet. And they are so tactile. They are so lovely. And each sheet has got, they are double-sided and the other sides are quite pale. So each sheet has got some flocking on it. So for instance, this one has got some little flocked pieces on the petals here and here. And you don't really appreciate it, seeing it in the catalogue. As I said, they've all got quite plain backgrounds. So this one, for instance, these white pieces are flocked. You've got a really nice pale background on that. Oh, that's that one. I'll just quickly run through that. Now, this is one of my favourites. Help me, I took them out of the packet, wouldn't it? And then you might actually be able to see. So that one is the back of that one. Then you've got this one here, which all of the white on here is flocked. I mean, it is like a piece of wallpaper where you get that flocked effect. It is gorgeous, and that is the background on that one. Then you get this one, and on this one there are very small flocked white elements in between the leaves and the flowers. I don't know that my camera's hopefully you can just about see those little pieces there, and that has got this sort of almost grid on the back, but not quite. And then this one, I mean, you know, Be Still My Beating Heart. This would make the most beautiful scrapbook page. Or you could cut it in half across the middle, so you'd have 2 6x12s, and then cut it down to 6 card fronts. I mean, you know, what good value. And on the back, oh, I just forgot to tell you, the flocking on this again is like these little white sections for these little flowers here, and then the back of that has got sort of almost like a little mini sort of gingham, I suppose you'd call it. So those are the papers, and they're absolutely beautiful, and I think they are probably getting missed by a lot of people because they don't actually realise that they have the raised designs if somebody hasn't shown you. And that's why it's a speciality paper. We normally expect speciality papers to have glitter or some foiling on them, but yeah, it's not going to go back in now, is it? I struggle with these packages. Right, we're in. Okay, so that again, just to give you a reminder, I haven't got the stamp set that it goes with. I just really fell in love with the paper. It's called Velvet Meadow 12x12. Okay, so if you haven't given that a look, do so. Right, so we're not going to stick this white layer onto the card base first because we're going to use this as our template. So the matte layer is 10 by 14.3, and then I've cut my cardstock down to give that another matte layer. So basically, if you just go down 1/2 centimetre each time, you'll get that nice border. So the matte layer is 14.3 across, so the paper is 13.8, and I have cut it at 6 centimetres. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and glue that on. What did I do with my new glue? Okay, and I'm using Tombow multi-purpose. Use whatever is your adhesive of choice. Make sure if you're using the floral pattern like me that you get it the right way up, because I almost just stuck that on upside down, because you can see the leaves go up. Okay, so we're gonna stick that down, just making sure we've got a little equal border. Now I cut this piece of pecan pie the same size because obviously you're going to chop a section of it off along the top, and we are going to use that to make up the other part of the matte layer. So if you cut that if you cut it by 6 inches, the same size as this piece of DSP, then you should get a smaller piece, which will just have this edge on it, as I showed you in my other card, which you can then layer up. Okay, so again, I'm using glue for this one. We have to be mindful when we're making cards that we might need to send in the post of not putting too much layering on them. Otherwise, the recipient is going to get a little bill from the post office. And I don't know about where you guys are, but where I am in England, you would also have to go and collect it if you weren't in. Okay, so that bit gets stuck there. Then we can stick that onto the front of our card. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. I mean, if you were going to give this card to somebody by hand, then obviously please feel free to swap the two dimensionals from the Tombow. Not quite sure who this card's going to yet. I like to have a stash of cards. So there you go. So we've got our front. Now the eagle-eyed of you might notice that the masking tape, when I had to stick this die down, has pulled a little bit of the top of the cardstock off, but we won't worry about that because we're going to be covering that up. Okay, so what I've got now is 2 of the leaves die cut in different colours. So I think we've got Old Olive and Granny Apple Green, I think that might be. And then we have got, oh, actually, that might be Lemon Lime Twist. We've got our little pot holder, pot label. Now, there are 2 dies for this, so you can cut it out a bit bigger, but I wanted to use the inner one. And then we have got our garden fork. So those are the tines, that's what the prongs are called, and our handle, and I'm just going to glue those together. So we just want the tiniest dot of glue onto the end of the fork prongy bit, and then we are going to stick our handle on. And I've just done that round the wrong way, haven't I? Yes, I have. Let me just wipe that off. Excuse me. My brain is not functioning today. I actually want that behind. So we want the glue on the handle. Do as I say, not as I do. We want the glue on the handle, not on the prongy bit. Okay, make sure you get them the right way around, because they do, the dies do add some embossing detail. So we're going to just pop that on there. Just give that a minute for it to stick. Preferably not on my finger. And that is our little fork. So I'm going to just change this card up a little bit. So on my previous card, as you can see, I had the fork pointing down into the earth, and I had the greenery there and the label there. So we're just going to change this up a little bit because I need to cover that up. Too many people throw bits away because something like that has happened, when you can deal with the damage just by covering it up with something else. So don't throw away your bits and pieces like that just because you think you might have ruined them when you actually really haven't. So I'm just popping some glue onto the darker one of our die cuts there. And that is going to go there. And then over the top of that, I'm going to bring in our lighter one. And again, just popping a little bit of Tombow onto the backs of the leaves. There is a die cut through the leaves, so you don't want to cover the entire leaf with Tombow because it will squidge through. And we're going to go, no, we are going to go that way with that. Okay. I've just got the, oh, goodness me. I'm making a real dog's dinner of this today. You know, you have some days where you've got to get stuff done and then you just really, yeah. I think today might be one of those days. Anyway, there we go. So we've successfully covered up that little pull that the washi tape made. And then we're going to use this. Now, I'm going to have to cut its prong off because obviously I've glued down this piece. But we're going to stamp on it first. So on this card, there was a tiny little thanks, which fitted on that label really nicely. And there is also a tiny little hello. So I am going to pick out Berry Burst, another one of my favourite colours. Previously wasn't in colour. Really happy when it came back because that matches the pink in the floral. And we are just going to stamp hello on there. Put that ink pad away because I know what I'm like for getting ink messes everywhere. Just give that a little wipe off, and then that's not dirty. I'm not going to lean on it. One tiny little stamp, look, and I'm covered. Right, okay, so we are going to have to just trim off the prong on the bottom of that. I'm only going to trim a bit of it off because I want it to look like it's popping out of the garden, like a plant marker would. And then I'm just going to put a tiny little bit of Tombow on the back. So you can work out where it will stick in. Bend it over and put a little bit of glue on the back. So that's that there. And then we've got our fork to go on. And I did put this on with dimensionals. Obviously, bear in mind, if you're going to need to put this card in the post, glue it down, which I am actually going to do on this one. On the previous card, I did use some edges of the mini dimensionals, but this one's probably going to go in the post. So I'm just going to do that. Okay, bring it back in our card, and we're going to stick our fork on. So what you could also do, obviously, is not stick all the way along the top of this piece, and then you could put the fork in. You could put this metal prong bit much further up the handle, and then you'd get the tines of the fork in, partly in behind the dirt, so it would look like it was stuck in the dirt. Okay, so that's our card. We've got our little hello greeting on the front. Let me just bring back in the previous one that had our little thanks on it. And there we go. I will put a liner inside the card when I've decided who it's going to go to, with an appropriate greeting inside, or I might just write inside. But yeah, there we go. There's our 2 cards. Hopefully you like it, and if you've got the stamp set, you'll give it a go, or if this card and my previous one have piqued your interest about the stamp set and dies, hopefully you'll give them a purchase. So, right, okay, that's it for today, and I will see you all again soon. Thanks for watching, and happy stamping.